So I'm Cathryn Stormont. I'm here to talk about PMax, Performance Max, aka that campaign that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, and how we can make it work for lead gen. So who here uses PMax campaigns? Got a few of you. And how many are using it for e-commerce? And how many for lead gen? So a good mix. So for e-commerce, it does a pretty good job. Yeah, all the optimization tips are all geared around towards e-commerce and driving sales. And your account manager at Google will be pushing PMax for e-commerce, but for lead gen, it's kind of forgotten about. And the truth is, it's a real struggle to get working, but it can work. So what are the challenges? Keeping momentum is really key. Who's been in this situation? You've launched your PMax campaign, it's going so well, and then your CPA is pretty good, and you start thinking, oh, I don't need to bother with my search campaigns anymore. I'm just going to lob all my budget into PMax. And you start communicating to your client or your business, start getting some good results. And then a few weeks down the line, your leads start going down, your CPA starts creeping up, and you start thinking, oh no, this isn't working. How am I going to optimize this thing? And it's happened to me, and it's really frustrating. But there are ways to keep that momentum going. If you just refresh your assets, keep trying new asset signals, even new PMax campaigns, because there is a little bit of a shelf life with this sort of thing. And the next one, it's a bit of the elephant in the room. PMax does generate poor quality leads. It just does. There is a bunch of Gmail addresses you can't really do a lot with. Although there are tools out there like ZoomInfo where you can link in your LinkedIn data, which will make things a lot easier to try and find who those people are. But you can generate quality. There is a way around that. But what you need to do also is manage your expectations with your client. If you anticipate there's going to be about 20% poor quality leads, what's your CPA you're taking into that 20%? If it's still low enough, keep it running. Try not to let you turn that off, especially if it's a high value sale. If it's a high value sale, it's more than likely going to pay for itself down the line. So why does it work for e-commerce and not for lead gen? It's quite straightforward, really. For e-commerce, it's online sale. It is the end conversion point. That's what Google wants. Google then knows, I'm going to go find some more of those. But for a lead, it is just the beginning of the process. It is just the start point. It's just a form fill. It's just an expression of interest. And to be honest, it's not really a lead. I'm sure you've had these conversations where your sales team turn around saying, they aren't really leads. It's the next stage you want to be talking about, the next stage of the process where your MQLs, your SQLs, your marketing qualified leads, your sales qualified leads, and your end conversion point. That's what you want to be kind of talking about. And how do you go about telling Google that information? Tell Google the outcome. And how you tell Google the outcome is you start linking your CRM systems. If you're not doing this already in your lead gen campaigns, it's crucial for all your campaigns, even your search. You need to start getting the two systems talking to each other. Add your qualified leads, your MQLs, as a conversion point. If you do that, then that's then in your bid management. Enables Google then to find the kind of quality that you're looking for. So I've just done a little video here which kind of shows that. So this is in your conversion tracking. If you go to importing a conversion, down there is all your usual CRM systems, HubSpot, Salesforce, and even if it isn't, Zapier is brilliant for this. You can start linking the two systems, get them talking to each other. So when you've got a contact status change in HubSpot, it will then feed back as a conversion. And when you've got a live sales change in Salesforce, again, feedback's a conversion. Now, just bear in mind, though, that you want a lot of conversion points. So you want to look through your CRM system at all your records and see what is the most popular status. You want your MQLs as your first point. And then when you're assigning these conversions, think about the value, your value. what's the total value of your product? If you've got lots of products and services, think about your average. You take that average and then you work backwards. So what's your conversion rate from down to sales qualified lead to marketing qualified lead? And then what's the value of that at that point in time? And that's the value you put in there. And then you can start communicating the value of your campaigns to your business. So once you've done all that, you've done all your conversion tracking, you're now kind of geared towards quality leads, which puts you in a really good situation. The next step is to share your successes. You might be running search campaigns for a long, long time. You know what's working. And so do the people in your business too. There are other people in your marketing teams, your wider teams, your sales teams. They have all the sales success information. They know what's working, and you need to kind of utilize that. So as a first sort of step, use your converting keywords in your search campaigns. You've got a list of those. You might have been running them for a number of years. Just add those in as a search theme. Don't just add a few of your high value keywords, because it won't necessarily get you anywhere. You've got to really start thinking about what is working before. And then look at your CRM systems. You've got a list in there of all your high value leads that are just about to close, and you might have a list in there of all your customers. If you've used Customer Match before, great, you might be able to import that into your PMax campaign. But if you haven't, then you need to do that. You need to tell Google who are your customers so it goes and finds new ones. And then any high value leads, pull those in as well. So then it guides Google to find this is the type of company they're looking for, especially if you're looking for large companies or this is the type of contact. It just sets you things up in the right way. And then any other level of interaction. So should have your remarketing lists already set up in the campaign, which is great. You can start importing those in, or you might have a list, all your converters, pull that in, get that going, because that will, again, put things in the right way. If you're doing any kind of email campaigns, if you've got email campaigns in terms of clicks, opens, any kind of warm level of interaction with the product, again, pull those in, pull those email addresses in. It's all the right information that Google kind of needs to know. The third step of this process, once you put all your first-party data in there, you've set your conversion tracking up already, is the kind of step that people kind of miss when setting up a PPC campaign. You've got to start talking to your wider business. They are the ones that will know, to be honest, they'll know more than you do in many places. If the product managers will know what kind of features are working, your sales teams will know the conversations they've had, and other people in the marketing team, other kind of campaigns that have worked. And if there's any market studies or persona studies that anyone's done, you want to use those to guide your signals. So first point, just add in those direct and indirect competitors. So anytime anyone is searching around those competitors, your ads will in theory show. Now I would say with PMax campaigns, as you all know, it's not ad groups, it's not targeting. It's just a guideline for Google. It's just a clue as the start points, but it's kind of, you need to make the clues right. You need to make the clues work for Google. And so anytime anyone's looking around your competitors, you definitely want to add those in. And then back to persona studies. So I'm going to use a little example. I do some work for a company called Office Lab, who do co-working spaces, team offices, podcast labs across Switzerland in different locations. And thinking about their personas, so their product is a co-working space. Now you might have Eddie, who works 5 days a week as a freelance designer from home. He's getting a little lonely, he wants a little bit of company. And then you've got Ella, who's working out of coffee shops in Brighton as a freelance copywriter, who wants a bit of space and just looking for something a bit more. Now they both have different needs from the same product. So you can start putting your personas as asset groups, and then you can start building your asset groups based on the affinities and the interests that you've discovered and other teams have discovered in your personas. And then speak to your sales teams, because your sales teams will know if they don't want to travel, especially if they are on the road. They don't want to do long meetings, maybe in the far ends of Scotland. You could start excluding these locations and narrowing down the areas where you're likely to get quality leads that then they can take action from. And at the same time, look at your GA data, because you can start seeing what's actually generating leads there. But also, so the idea of this is to try and narrow down as to what is working. And after all of that, after you've spoken to your wider teams, you've got your persona details, you've got your conversion tracking, you've got your first-party data in there, it's creating that right campaign structure. When you create that right campaign structure, I can't stress how important this one is, because when you want to get away from doing that step-by-step process that I'm going to create a PMax campaign, I'm going to go into Google, step-by-step, one asset group, throw all your images in, throw all your videos in, maybe add a couple of text ads that are working in your search campaigns, and then just hit go, because it's just not going to work. And I admit to doing that myself, and it just doesn't work that way. You have to put things in the right structure to get some success out of this. So I would really recommend a campaign for each product. So if we're thinking back to that co-working example, there'll be a PMax campaign for co-working, PMax campaign for podcast labs, PMax campaign for offices. Now, one of the real reasons originally for doing this is because you couldn't see your asset group performance. Now, in recent months, you can now, which is fantastic. You can see what's working. That asset group doesn't work, you can just sort of turn it off, or you can tweak what's working, and that's great. But having a campaign level, it's very similar to the way you do it in search. It allows a lot more budget control. Each product's going to have a different CPA. And then if a sales team suddenly say to me, I need some podcast bookings in such and such location, you can ramp up the budget of that particular campaign. And then when you're doing asset groups, think about personas, or if you haven't got persona studies, then just think about splitting profiling your customers, each type of customer, because that will enable you to avoid any message overlap. So you're having specific images, specific text, specific video for that type of persona, because they all want different things from each product. And the last one is add your first party data, as we were talking about. That's going to set you up in the best way. And then finally, there are things you still can control. There isn't a lot with their PMax, as you know, but there are more. There's more reports coming out there now than ever before, more data that you can start drilling down to you work out what's working. And the first of those, set your campaign goals. Your campaign goals, if the sales team, all they care about are lead forms, contact forms in HubSpot, then just make that your conversion point. And your conversion point should be your marketing qualified lead, not your first stage. That could be a secondary observation. That should be your primary point at this point. And then don't worry about all your other goals, all your other email clicks or phone clicks or any other conversion tracking you've got set up. Just focus on that one main goal that helps Google think, okay, that's what they want. I'm going to go find that. And then back to the momentum. Refresh those assets. Keep going. Try new text ads at a minimum every few weeks. Look at what's working in your search campaigns. Try the same messaging. And a video is harder, I know, but there is a video builder now. You could try it and see what's working. And then one thing outside of the campaign you can do is try new landing pages. Now, when you're doing this, just be careful that you keep your changes to a minimum in your PMax campaigns, because what you're trying to determine is whether that landing page has had an effect on conversion rate, because you can't A/B test in the same way. But if you just try different things, you might just get a better conversion rate. And then in your Search Insights report, there is a new little link called View Detailed Report. If you click on that, that gives you a breakdown of a little bit more as to what keywords are actually triggering your ads. And then you can sort of say, okay, I definitely don't want my ad showing for that. And you can start adding those on to your account level negatives. I mean, these will be negatives that apply to all of your campaigns, but you can start drilling down to things you definitely don't want appearing. And then placements. There was a bit of a hoo-ha about where PMax is being shown, and there's more detail now on placements. And so start looking through that report. It's in your main reports on Google Ads. Start looking through it, and if there are things you don't want to be shown, like mobile ad sites or anything like that, just start excluding them, and that will kind of narrow things down in a better place. And then adjust your signals based on audience reports. So in your audience section, there's just a few audiences based on impression level. If you start noticing some audiences that might not be in your asset signals, then just add them in. So after all of that, what can lead to success? Excuse the pun. It's all in the setup. So you get that structure right. Think about getting a little bit granular, just in terms of actually guiding Google in the right way. Refresh those assets, keep that momentum going as much as possible, and use your business data. Use that first-party data and CRM data more than anything. Get those systems linked up, and then you'll be able to generate good quality leads. And finally, just control what you can. Look at all the data that's available now. There's more of it, and you can really narrow things down to drive more success. So after all that, so this is the case study I was just talking about. After restructuring the campaign, this is going from the campaign where you've had one little asset group and one campaign, restructuring a lot more granularly, so a 263% increase in leads and a 1% to 6% in conversion rate over the period. And that's it. Thank you so much for your time. Any questions? Feel free to talk to me on LinkedIn or Twitter, or just come find me. Thank you very much.